In the age where everyone is obsessed with looks maxing as a way to be more attractive, we need to return to how men are actually supposed to be more attractive, which is through their body, their physique, their physical capability, how dangerous and lethal they look, right? The aesthetic physique. So much of the internet nowadays is obsessed with this like very feminine version of looking attractive, which is how facially, pretty or beautiful or perfect you look, which has its place, but I think we're a bit all maybe too obsessed with this kind of very feminine way of looking attractive, and it doesn't really make any sense. I personally don't really think it's all that cool or manly to be bone smashing for a better jawline or cheekbones or whatever. I used to be like, kind of into like looks maxing and stuff like that in the male space a few years ago, but the extent of that was like mewing, like, breathing with your tongue at the top of your mouth, breathing through your nose, and that was it. Like, if you knew that, that was like some very deep, esoteric knowledge. But I kind of leave that for a little while, and then when I come back, it's like everyone's kind of just obsessed with it, right? Everyone's obsessed with like very small, minute details of their attractiveness. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because as a man, that's not really what your job is supposed to be. That's not what attractiveness means to you, right? I genuinely believe this. I think you can try to look like as pretty or facially perfect as possible. You can look like a model, but that doesn't really say anything about how attractive you seem to women or to other men, because women don't hold you to the same standard as you hold women, right? Girls are obsessed with their facial attractiveness. They're obsessed with looking pretty, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are attracted to the pretty look. And so I think it's important that we return to what it means to actually be attractive as men, which is to have a good physique. To look healthy, strong, capable, and attractive is one of the best things that you can do as a man for your own confidence, for your dating life, stuff like this. I don't really think that bone smashing is all that impressive. So this is a guide for men on how to achieve an aesthetic, attractive physique, drawing on lessons from my personal journey of 5 years training for an aesthetic body. Some notes before we begin: these are personal lessons. I didn't just watch like 5 YouTube videos and then compile all the information into one guide. Over 5 years, I learned a bunch of this stuff. I learned how to, use this framework, and so these are not just like, this isn't just generic mainstream information. This works with any genetics, so it doesn't matter what your genetics are, good, bad, they won't hold you back. This method works. And this works with any schedule. So even if you feel like, I don't have enough time to get an aesthetic physique or to train as often as I want to, it doesn't matter. This works with any schedule, any timetable. If you can just afford a little bit of time every single week, then you can get an aesthetic physique. So there are no excuses, right? One final thing to note is I'm not perfect. I don't have the perfect physique, and I don't pretend that I do. I look pretty good. I've made a lot of progress, but I've still always got more progress. And so if there's any advice that you know of that I don't know of, right, any tips or whatever, leave them in the comments so that someone else who stumbles across this video can stumble across your comment, and we all benefit. First, you have to learn the 3 pillars of an aesthetic body, right? The 3 pillars of an aesthetic body are shape, diet, and mindset. And if you master all 3, then you can achieve any physique that you want, right? You'll make progress faster and better than everyone else around you as well. By the way, when someone is at a plateau, right, they're not making progress, or they can't quite seem to build a physique that they like, it's normally because they haven't mastered one of these pillars. Pillar number 1 is shape, right? This is the physique that you want to carve out. And I called this shape because you want to carve out a very specific type of physique. You want the V-taper physique, right? Which basically just means it looks sort of like an upside down triangle. A study was performed among women to find the most attractive physique that a man can have. And what they found was that the most attractive physique followed a shoulder to waist ratio of 1.6 to 1. This is famously the golden ratio and appears as the most beautiful throughout nature, art, anything that uses it, right? All this basically means is you want the width of your shoulders to measure 1.6 times the width of your waist. Or to make this more simple, just get wider around the shoulders. I'm sure you've heard of guys that got in the gym to, get compliments from women, but they end up saying like, oh, I just got attention from guys. Well, the reason is because they did not build the right physique. They built up a bunch of muscle mass, right? They got bigger, but they didn't build up the aesthetic physique, which follows a shoulder to waist ratio of 1.6 to 1. In order to do this, you're gonna follow one simple principle, which is to double the number of sets for the aesthetic muscles. What are the aesthetic muscles? You want big shoulders, a wide back, and lats, and a broad superhero chest. So in order to grow this V shape, just double the number of sets for these aesthetic muscles. Some other muscles that you probably want to pay some attention to are your arms, because they're the most visible muscle group, your abs for obvious reasons, and your neck and traps, because a small neck will make you look kind of small even if you're actually big. So let's say you double the number of sets for shoulders, chest, back, and lats, and you pay some extra attention to arms, abs, and you do a little bit of neck, right? That doesn't mean that you should let the rest of your physique go. You need to have a well-rounded physique, which means you still need to be hitting legs. When you are designing your routine, you want to think about it kind of like you're a sculptor who's carving a statue, right? Any place that you put more attention or add more sets, there will be more marble there. It'll be bigger. This is why I tend to spend a lot of time focused on shoulders, right? I work the anterior, lateral, and rear shoulder, but I only do a few sets for something like my forearms or my calves or my neck. The recipe that I like for my workouts is heavy compound exercises complemented with isolation exercises. So use the heavy compound exercises to build out like a lot of muscle mass and strength, and then use targeted isolation exercises to kind of, give more attention to certain areas that you want to look bigger, right? Remember, think about it like carving a statue. The most important thing of all when you're exercising is intensity. A lot of guys might not think that they have the time to get a killer V-taper, but intensity is more important than frequency or volume. Intensity is how hard you push yourself, how often you go until failure, how much time under tension there is during every single rep, how good your form is, stuff like that. You could lower the amount of days that you exercise or the duration of your workouts if you just take 4 to 6 sets until absolute failure per muscle per week, right? That could trigger hypertrophy better than if you work out every single day and have more volume, but you don't work out as intense. All you have to do to build muscle mass is to flip the hypertrophy switch in your body and then go home. Now for beginners, I recommend that you go 6 days per week because that helps to really build the habit, right? Neuroplasticity will make the habit more automatic the more you go. And when you don't go 6 days per week, that's oftentimes when a lot of people fall off. But if you know that you don't have a problem of consistency and your problem is more like, oh, I don't have enough time during the week, that's when it's okay to kind of lower the amount of days per week that you go, but work out more intense. Basically, just figure out what your constraint is, pick your battle, and then plan your routine accordingly. The number one rule is you want to plan out a routine that you think you can follow for the rest of your life. It's very important when you are trying to get jacked, build this impressive physique and gain a bunch of muscle mass, that you recover like a monk. Recovery is important because that's when the actual building of your muscle happens, right? If you knock down a wall in your house and you're trying to rebuild it, you obviously don't want to just knock it back down again before they're finished rebuilding it, because that'll just erase all of the progress. I think a lot of guys, especially experienced guys actually, their problem is recovery and not necessarily how hard they work out. So if recovery is when the actual muscle building happens, then we really want to make sure that our recovery is good. We want to recover like a monk. Now, what does recovery mean? Recovery can include the food and nutrients that you provide to your body, right? The resources or building blocks that it has to build muscle. It can include how much sleep and how good of a quality sleep that you get. And it can include rest outside of sleep, which is more just like downtime, time between working out a muscle. When you have bad recovery, you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel overworked, you're going to feel like you are not progressing, even when you've been kind of like hammering your body in the gym, right? Good recovery looks like you get tons of food, so your body has plenty of resources to, build muscle, especially carbohydrates, which are the body's main fuel source. you're getting really good sleep and plenty of hours of it, like 8 to 9 hours, and you are giving each muscle a few days of rest and downtime before you work it again. If you're working out with a ton of intensity during your time in the gym, and then outside of the gym you're recovering like a monk, your body becomes a perfect environment for growth. Something else that's really important when you're building out this shape is to try and progressive overload every single workout. Now that sounds like very basic and general and kind of like simple advice, but I found that a lot of guys just don't do this, myself included. Like, I have a habit, if I'm not disciplined with myself, to pick up a weight that I've already done and just do the same amount of reps and then stop. I never try to improve that session, and it feels hard, right? It feels like I put in a ton of effort, but I haven't actually improved. Our goal here is simply to improve just one number during the workout. That could be the weight that you push. You could just add 5 pounds to a lift. That could be just one extra rep on one exercise. Improve in one number every single workout. And the point here is not to accomplish that every single time, although I think if you begin kind of working out more intensely and your recovery is pretty good, right? You're going until failure all the time and you're recovering well in your downtime, you'll find that that becomes a lot easier. The point is just to try every single workout, even if you don't make it. It's kind of like a while back, I wanted to improve my dating life, right? I had built up a pretty decent physique after a few years in the gym, but I wasn't really talking to any girls. I didn't have any girls' numbers, right? I wasn't like dating that much. And the reason was because I wasn't really asking girls out, right? I wasn't like going up and talking to them. I wasn't asking for their number. I wasn't asking them out on dates. And so, 100 times 0 is still 0. But when I started trying more, right, I would go up and talk to girls. I would ask for their number. I would ask them out on dates, stuff like that. I got more results. I got more girls that rejected me, sure, but I also got more girls that were interested and I dated. All of life is like this. The more you try and fail, the more often you succeed. And so you can't be afraid of failure. You can't say, well, that weight is too heavy. I don't want to progressive overload this workout. Always keep trying to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. I would spend weeks and weeks failing to hit my target number of reps for a specific weight, right? Kind of like failing to progressive overload before I actually eventually got it. And that's just kind of the way it is. Like, we just have to continue failing over and over and over until we achieve it.
The things that helped me most along my personal journey were always information products, that is, books or courses that I purchased. And when I implemented seriously the lessons that I learned in those books or courses, my life changed every single time. So when it came time to decide how I was going to monetize this channel, I knew that I wanted to offer an information product. If you are serious about getting an aesthetic physique and you are willing to invest in yourself, the top link in the description is my full program. That is all of my years and years of lifter knowledge put into a single course. And it's more than I could ever possibly put into any one of these YouTube videos. It's just hours and hours of me going over information. It's extremely detailed, it's extremely value-packed, and it's for those that are serious about getting an aesthetic physique. It would mean a lot to me if you would just click the link, go to the page, and watch the attached video, just to see if it's for you, because if it is for you, then you will miss out by not checking it out. But if it doesn't seem like it's the right time, or you cannot afford it, don't worry, because I will continue to always post content on this channel for free. My end goal is to bring you value, and my program is the best way that I can do that. Thank you.
Now let's talk about diet. A lot of beginners kind of ignore diet because, I don't know, they just don't want to worry about it. They're focused on training. They don't think diet's that important, but that's a mistake, because diet is your vehicle towards your ideal physique, right? You can use exercise to point yourself in the right direction, but if your diet isn't right, then you're going to make slow or no progress. If you're really bad at dieting, then you're going to hit a lot of plateaus, you're gonna make slow progress. And if you're really good at dieting, then you can make really fast progress. Your body needs 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It needs even more carbohydrates if you're going to repair damage and grow. This is why I don't recommend that anybody goes on a cut, even if they're kind of, higher body fat while they're trying to build an aesthetic physique, especially if you're under 18. If you're under 18, do not cut, because even though you think you're getting leaner and you're getting a better physique, you're really just depriving your body of nutrients that it needs to grow. But this doesn't mean that you can't be lean while you bulk. You want to eat according to something that I call the caveman or Stone Age diet. The Stone Age diet is basically just a single principle, which is eat whole foods sourced as close to nature as possible. We live in an age where a lot of the food that we eat is not natural or sourced close to nature, but it's processed, right? It's kind of like packaged for us in this like delicious looking form with weird like additives in it that make it taste better. And it's just not what we are meant to eat. It's not what we're designed to eat as human beings. So this seems kind of obvious, but like if your diet consists of 99% things that are not from nature directly, then of course that'll have negative effects on the human body. The caveman diet includes things like fish, chicken, beef, rice, potatoes, vegetables, milk and cheese, etc. But there's a lot of guys that will eat junk food, dirty food, processed foods during a bulk to get more calories in more conveniently, and then during like a cut they'll eat healthy foods. But after a long time of bulking and having to overcome obstacles and gain a lot of size, I found that this is the wrong way to do it. The reason for this is that your body is as much a mirror as it is a machine. It reflects what you put in it at least a little bit all of the time. And so if you just feed it junk food, right, dirty food, because you think it's like more convenient to get the calories in, you're just not going to look right. And you're going to put on a lot more body fat, first of all, and your muscles are not going to have all the resources that you think you're providing them for growth. Whole foods have better nutrient availability and digestibility, right? It's what our ancestors would have eaten to get stronger. And so your body can actually use it better. You'll stay leaner while you're getting muscle mass because you're providing your body with higher quality resources for building. Even if you have higher body fat and feel like you should go on a cut, I still think you should go on a bulk following the Stone Age diet. With exercise and eating whole foods, I think you'll find that you get leaner, you lose body fat while you're gaining muscle mass, even when you are in a surplus. This is called recomposition, but use your own judgment. So if you're extremely overweight, it might be better for you to cut down for a short while first before you begin bulking. You also want to make sure your macros are right. A good rule of thumb is you want to get 50% of your calories from carb sources, 30% from protein, and 20% from fats, because I've noticed that even if your calories are correct as you're bulking, that's a very crude way of measuring it, and if your macros are wrong, then that'll screw you up. The caveman or Stone Age diet can also make you more attractive in other ways. Some examples are clearer skin, better energy, and better hormones like testosterone. Pillar number 3 is mindset, and mindset is the most important because it doesn't matter how much information or knowledge you get. It doesn't matter how bad you want the goal. It doesn't matter how much content you watch. If you don't have the right mindset, then that's what decides if you achieve the goal or you don't achieve the goal. Luckily, it's the thing that you have the most control over. First of all, don't rely on motivation or trust how you feel day to day, right? Feelings are fleeting and they go up and down and stuff like that. Rely on discipline instead, right? Stick to the plan, stick to your routine, no matter how you feel. At the same time, you want to fall in love with working out. The guys that made the most progress in the gym actually kind of like it. Like, it isn't super hard work for them because they enjoy it. A really good way to do this is to customize how you work out. So, wear the clothes that you like, listen to music that you love, take pre-workout that you like if you enjoy taking pre-workout. When I go to the gym, I always have like a wife beater on that I feel like super kind of like light in, I feel like I look good in. I always have like a playlist of really banger music that I play, like I just blast, and I have pre-workout that I take that makes me feel really good. You also want to make it a game, right? So the human brain is really good at playing games because it really wants to win games. And if there are numbers involved in something and you can improve at something and there's some sense of reward for something, then you can make that a game, and that really engages your brain. So that's why it's so important to try to improve every single workout, because improving numbers makes you more motivated, which helps it, be easier to be disciplined, stuff like that. It's kind of like a loop. Obviously, you want to be disciplined, whether you feel like you're winning or losing in the game, or you're having fun. But if you make it a game, your brain will like get into like a hyper locked in mode, where just the challenge of it just excites it, and you're just like super obsessed with improving your numbers. The most important thing about your mindset is you need to realize that this is faith-based work. You have to put in the work before you are allowed to see the results, right? The rewards will stay hidden from you until you earn them. Put in more upfront work than you think is reasonable or you should have to do, right? Don't get frustrated because maybe today you feel weak, you can't push heavy weight, or you look small or something like that. Believe that it will pay off, because it will. Life doesn't work like a one-to-one transaction like we wish it would work, right? So you don't put in 1 unit of work for 1 unit of reward. That isn't how life works. Life works like you have to put in 100 units of work before you are allowed to receive 1,000 units of reward. When I first started working out, I worked out for like 6 months straight without seeing any noticeable physique changes. I knew I was getting stronger, but my physique wasn't like, I wasn't gaining size, I wasn't seeing any more muscle definition, anything like that. But I just kept putting in more and more and more work, even though I hadn't seen any results, right? And I was kind of like getting doubts, like, oh, maybe this doesn't actually work. Like, maybe I won't actually get jacked. Maybe that's just other people that got results from working out, but like that isn't applicable to me. But I just kept working, and eventually I started to see results. I started to see changes in my physique, and that just got me so hyped and so motivated. If you want to notice results faster, I recommend that you take regular progress pictures, because your brain is really bad at noticing changes or results from your work. This is because your brain can only compare the version of you today that it sees in the mirror with the most recent version that it saw, which was you in the mirror yesterday. And because there's virtually no difference between those two images, your brain will think that nothing changed. So if you don't take progress pictures, you'll sometimes go like months without realizing that you've made any progress at all. So you want to take regular progress pictures so that you can review them and notice differences, small differences and changes and improvements in your physique. Just imagine how motivating that will be when you've been working hard at trying to grow a muscle or something like that for a long time, and then you can see in your progress pictures where your muscle starts getting a little bit bigger. That'll be so motivating. The final thing for mindset is you need to worship consistency. The thing is that in life, a lot of things act kind of like a combo multiplier in a video game, right? This is an example that I've given before. In real life, most things don't work like kind of a linear line where the more you do something, the more you receive, the more progress you get, the better you get at it over time, just kind of like one-to-one, right? It doesn't work as like a linear line. Most oftentimes, it actually works as more of an exponential curve. So you'll be doing it for a long time and barely seeing any results, and then it slowly begins curving upward until it shoots way up. It kind of like hockey sticks way up. This is how most stuff actually works in real life. But the thing is that this doesn't happen if you're inconsistent, because this relies on momentum. Momentum is the most important thing. You can kind of imagine it like a car accelerating, right? The car first slowly begins to speed up, and then it gets faster and faster and faster. But when you interrupt your consistency, or you like break your combo, then all that acceleration slows down, and you're kind of back at that first very slow pace of improvement. Diet especially works like this. So if you've been dieting well for like 6 days, and then on the 7th day you kind of mess up, right? You don't hit your surplus goal, or you don't hit your cut goal, you eat over, something like that, or you just eat like crap foods. You might not think that's a super big deal, but you'd be surprised just how far that sets you back. So you need to worship consistency, right? In a video game like a fighting game, they'd have some sort of like combo mechanic for fighting. So if you land a blow on somebody, your combo goes up by 1, and then maybe after like a certain amount of your combo reaches a certain number, like 10, you get to perform a certain ability, or as your combo goes up, like there's a multiplier attached to your damage, so you do more and more and more damage the higher your combo is. But when that combo is broken, when like your character takes a hit, right, doesn't end up dodging, then that gets reset to 0, and all of the benefits kind of like go away. I promise you that a lot more things in life act as a combo multiplier than you think. All right, so I try to be a practical channel that imparts value on you, And to do that, I need you to follow some actionable steps and implement what you learned, right? So your actionable steps for this video are: write out a new routine and double the sets for the aesthetic muscles. Make sure you're also paying attention to your arms, abs, and add in a little bit of neck as well. And you're keeping the rest of the physique well-rounded. Obviously, you don't want to have like tiny little skinny chicken legs. Start going until failure to increase intensity at least a little bit during every workout. The ideal is every single set, but I know it's quite hard to achieve that. Number 3 is to go on a recovery protocol, go on a monk-like recovery protocol, so that during your downtime, you're properly rebuilding and recovering your muscles. So you should decide on a sleep schedule that provides you with 8 to 9 hours of quality sleep every single night. Make sure you're getting enough food and nutrients to properly recover, and if you can, avoid working your muscles too hard outside of the gym. You want to download a workout tracker and try to improve every session. A workout tracker is very helpful because you can see the numbers that you achieved last time, so you know how to improve. You want to download a diet tracker and go on a Stone Age bulk. A diet tracker is also very helpful because if you punch in your information, the one I use is MyFitnessPal, and your goals, then it can provide you with all the numbers. It can do all the math for you. You know exactly how many proteins, fats, and carbs you need, how many calories you need to hit every day, stuff like that. Number 6, have faith in your work, but make it fun. So that means you need to figure out how to customize it, right? Have like outfits that you feel the most comfortable in, you look the best in. Make a playlist of like just banger music that you love to get you kind of like in the zone. And if there's any supplements that you like to take during the gym, like, I love my pre-workout, then take them. And number 7, take progress pictures once per week. Add them to a new album called Progress Pictures and review it every once in a while. Thank you so much for watching. If you got any value from this video, there is something that you can do which is a win-win for both of us, which is to scroll down and click the subscribe button. I win because I'm gonna be a subscriber. You win because anytime I have a new insight, learn something new, or try something new, I can make a video and directly give you value. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please ask them in the comments. That's what the comment section is for, and I'll try to answer them directly, or I'll make a video on it. Thank you. Goodbye.